12, 2022, Nuri Martinez resigned from the Los Angeles City Council. This came a few days after the world heard Nuri and other elected members of the council speak disparagingly about black people, indigenous people, and others.
There's a white guy with a little black kid bouncing off the effing walls on the floor. There's nothing you can do.
And what participants believed was a private conversation, racism, colorism, homophobia, and bigotry were exposed like never before. The effort to undermine the political influence of black fellow citizens was specifically targeted by these so-called leaders. Everyday people stormed the doors of City Hall demanding immediate resignations. Even the President of the United States called for resignations. On Thursday, October 12th, 5 to 7 p.m., KBLA Talk 1580 will host a day of dialogue on the anatomy of anti-black racism and bigotry in Los Angeles with an all-star panel of civic leaders. Don't miss this conversation. Thursday, October 12th, live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an encore performance from 7 to 9 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
La 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 la. La 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 la. Hey, I wanna scream so loud for you, 'cause I'm so proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do, mama. I know I act a fool, but I promise you I'm going back to school, and I appreciate what you allow for me, and I just want you to be proud. I wanna tell the whole world about a friend of mine, this little light of mine, I'm finna let it shine. I'm finna take y'all back to them better times. I'm finna talk about my mama if y'all don't mind. I was 3 years old when you and I moved to the Chi. Late December, harsh winter gave me a cold. You fixed me up something that was good for my soul. Famous homemade chicken soup, can I have another bowl? You work late nights just to keep on the lights.
In this hour of Tavis Smiley, two conversations on the B side of this hour. October, as you know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we'll have the first of a number of conversations this month about the unique challenges black women face when dealing with breast cancer. We'll do that on the back side of this hour before we wrap today's show. We commenced this hour, though, with Brittany King Brock on the unique challenges women face being moms in the music industry and how they can better be positioned to face the unique challenges specific to being a caregiver while maintaining a career in the fast-paced music industry. Brittany King Brock, good to have you on this program. How are you today?
Hi. I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, if I complained about being in great, I'm delighted to have you on to learn more about your work and witness, and we're going to do the best we can in these 30 minutes or so. So let me just start by asking the following. You are the founder of what's called Moms in Music. So let me just ask you to tell me about Moms in Music, and we'll jump from there.
Absolutely. So I've been an executive in the music business for the last 17 years, working in various capacities from talent management, music publishing, and label operations. And I became a mom 3 years ago. And I realized that there was so much to it that I did not know. And I was so blinded by just this new responsibility, this new identity, while still trying to manage and maintain a career in, like you mentioned, the fast-paced industry of the music business. And so it really is my inspiration of why I started Moms in Music, because when I had my son, I did not feel supported, seen, and valued when it came to the workplace. And even historically, women in the music business have not only been marginalized, but motherhood and parenthood specifically has just been kind of like a thing that you don't talk about. It's like the women who came before me, if and when they did have kids, it was never anything that anyone was really vocal about talking about. And so when I became a mom, I felt very isolated and alone. Like, where is my community? I know I'm not the first one to have a mom. Where are the mothers before me? What were their journeys? What are their stories? How can they empower me? And that was really my why of why I started it, because I wanted to create something that I needed, and that I saw that, there was no community for it.
Yep.
And so Moms in Music we're a brand new organization. We launched this year. Our first event was in May of 2023. We had a brunch event in Atlanta, and we immediately got some amazing sponsorship and support from the Recording Academy Atlanta chapter, Songwriters of North America, and we were able to honor Faith Evans, who, as you know, is an amazing artist, songwriter. She was our first honoree, along with Dionne Ferris, who's a songwriter, and also the mother of young baby Tate, and Jamaica Kraft, who is a creative director and choreographer. And all of these women really solidified the need for this community, and they all shared their own personal stories of how they became moms and whatever their experience was in the music business. And it really, for me, validated the need. And my goal is to build community, to have the hard conversations, to provide resources, and also to position, our organization as an ally to music companies, so that they can know how to better support their employees and their artists.
It's a mouthful, and I'm glad I asked that question, because it allows us all to better understand what Moms in Music is all about. Let me just start interrogating some of that now. So I know obviously there's no one size fits all. The answer to this question is different for every artist, whether it's Dionne Ferris or Faith Evans or persons like you who are behind the scenes in the music business. But how would you broadly define the journey that a mom has to navigate when they are in this, again, fast-paced music industry?
I think it all starts with the village. Having a village is extremely important, not just specific to being a mom in music, but overall. And I think when you're working in an industry like ours, it's 24/7. If you're an artist, it's always on the road. Having support is extremely necessary, but also being able to have a team of people that understand where you are, and can uplift you not only professionally, but mentally as well, which is something that's very passionate for me. Outside of who I am as a music executive, I'm really big into wellness, spirituality, and just taking care of the whole person from a human position. And so I think it's important to pull away sometimes from just the greed that we may have of like making the money, and position yourself and your clients, whether you're a record label, a management company, to make sure that you're creating a balance in however you approach the schedules, right? Whether it's, tour schedules, if you're doing a routing, making sure that you're incorporating time for that artist to have time with their children, to make sure that they're not having a set. They're not coming on, on set at 11 or midnight. Maybe you move their times up to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock so that they can be back home at a reasonable hour. Things that I realized that before I became a mom, I didn't realize how important what seems like a no-brainer, those conversations are, and even being able to have us as a backbone to position artists to have those conversations. And that's one thing, a lot of the feedback that we've gotten from artists is like, oh my God, I've been scared to say certain things to my management company or to my label because I feel like if I voice this to them, they're going to see me as, oh, she's not ready or she can't handle it. When it really is a matter of let's just have some flexibility. Yeah. Like it can still get done, but let's be flexible on both ends on how it gets done. And so that's what our goal is at Moms in Music, is to empower artists, creatives, executives to have those conversations and to educate them on what can be done better. Just getting started in this conversation with Brittany King Brock, the founder of Moms in Music, about the unique challenges, the difficulties of being a caregiver while trying to maintain and advance your career in the music biz. We'll continue when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfected like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shout it, don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Dilly, beloved, clearly, we're hustling. Bussin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit catblack.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Yo, J Balvin here. Verizon just hooked me up with a new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. How can you get one? By switching to my plan at your Verizon store, get the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro on them. When you trade in any iPhone, any model, any condition, guaranteed. And listen to my new song, Dientes, on your way to get the new iPhone 15 Pro.
Don't miss out. Switch to my plan from Verizon today. It's your Verizon. $999.99, 128 gigabyte only. Device payment purchase or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in or promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is your dentist. Do me a favor and feel the front of your teeth. How grimy are they? Ugh. It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is the buildup of plaque bacteria that can cause cavities in just months. You need to switch to Crest Pro Health. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. So pick some up on the way home. Smile. Crest has you covered.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley in dialogue with Brittany King Brock, who's the founder of Moms in Music, trying to do something about the unique challenges facing moms in the music biz. I'm asking this question, Brittany. I warned you up front, just playing devil's advocate. I'm asking it just to press you and push you to get the best out of you. But for those who may be listening to this conversation right now and asking, well, why should the music biz bend over backwards to cater to women, to cater to moms? Your retort to that question would be what?
Because your business depends on it, right? Mm-hmm. That's why. Not only are mother, and again, this is no dig to the guys, but listen, we get it done, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, historically, women get things done, and from a business perspective, you supporting your employees from a human perspective and making sure they are whole and that they are taken care of means that they value your business better, means that the return on the investment is going to look different, right? When people feel like they're getting taken care of and they're valued, then the return on the output of the work is different. And so if you're approaching it simply from a why, from a business standpoint, do I need to make sure that moms are taken care of, is because your business depends on it. If the mama is not good, then the output of the work is not going to be good. And outside of it being specific to moms, that's a human answer, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that people feel good, because when they feel good, you see that output in the work. And when people don't feel like they're being taken care of, or they have to focus so much on everything that's happening outside of the job, oh my God, I don't have any types of childcare options, I don't have a flexible work schedule. That level of stress shows up in the output. Mm-hmm. And so from a business perspective, you like how I lead as a leader, and I've recently been the president of operations and GM of an indie record label in LA, I start with, how can I serve you? What do you need to show up to work every single day as your best?
Yep. No,
and from there you build it. Yeah.
No, I hear your point. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So I hear
Ain't
you.
nobody happy.
I hear you loud and clear. I'm thinking as you're talking, Brittany, about the music business and the role that women play in it. And I believe it was the New York Times. I could be wrong. I think it was the Times. I read so much stuff every day. Some major organization, I think again it was the Times, announced a few weeks ago that they have 2 full-time reporters doing nothing but covering Beyonce and Taylor Swift. They literally hired 2 reporters to cover Beyonce 24/7 and to cover Taylor Swift 24/7. You probably see where I'm going with this. 2 of the biggest names in the business right now. Folks selling tickets like nobody's business. Beyonce and Taylor Swift are all that and then some in the music business. And yet, I heard you suggest earlier that women writ large are still marginalized in this business. Juxtapose those 2 things to me to the extent you can.
So 2 things can exist at the same time. Beyonce and Taylor Swift, let's start it off. They're both unicorns. They are both top tier, like, oh my God, you don't see that type of magic happen often, right? But I think that, the reason that these organizations have chosen to have that 24-hour coverage is because there's both of them explode. Anytime you talk anything Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you know that it's clickbait. You're going to get all the clicks, you're going to get all the looks, especially if you're able to provide some level of exclusive coverage, right? So from a business perspective, I understand why those outlets have chosen to do that. I mean, it's to each his own. I feel like it's a bit much, but hey, if you somebody's got a job. 2 more people or however many people now have a job, and that is their job. So, I can't knock nobody's hustle. But I think that when it comes to, those 2 and women being marginalized, that is a pretty much known fact. Like the music business specifically is a male-dominated industry.
Yep.
A lot of the formalities of it are by design in that way. And so women, whether you're an artist, an executive, have had to show up and not only operate in these, and it's something that I've actually had to learn of how to tap into my feminine energy in a way that makes me unique when I'm in a room full of men, right? Whether that was my experience as an A&R at Atlantic Records, where we sit in A&R meetings, and it may be 12 people. Of the 12 people in the room, 2 of them may be women, and you have 10 men sitting at a table saying what types of records a woman wants to hear. And it's like, hello, hey, I'm a woman. I can tell you what a woman wants to hear, right? And it's those little things that oftentimes you don't even notice until someone has to speak up for it. And so as a woman, I've had to learn how to advocate for myself and say, hey, this is what makes more sense to us, or this is the perspective, because most of the times I'm the only one in the room. And so when I say women have been marginalized, we have not traditionally been seen as the check writers. And now we're starting to see the tides turn, where a lot of women are becoming entrepreneurs. A lot of women are becoming, chairwomen of these organizations. And we see the titles are changing. Like you had Ethiopia Haptemariam, who was the president and the chair of Motown.
Sure.
She changed her title to chairwoman. We have Jody Gerson, who's chairwoman, Sylvia Rohn. And so we're starting to see women take up that space. But traditionally, it has been a boys' club. And that is not an assumption. That is a fact.
Yep. In these spaces, and I want to just ask 2 questions about spaces in the business. In these spaces that you've described so well and what it's like to be inside these rooms, you've taken us inside the room with us and given us a great illustration of what it's like to be in there. What have you discovered over the years for you personally, Brittany King Brock, in these spaces? What have you relied on? What have you found to be your superpower?
Oh, it's interesting that you say that you asked that question, because I think I really just discovered that probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when I learned how to own my voice. And I learned how to utilize my voice even when it shakes. Right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, as I kind of mentioned earlier, tapping into that femininity when you're oftentimes, made to believe that you have to be the hard and tough girl and in order to operate and have success in the boys club. But I have realized that the soft and pink approach is actually more feasible. And so I have been able to tap into the I guess like not the mental aspect, but tapping a little bit more into the psychology of understanding the why and asking thought-provoking questions to myself and others, whether it's artists, whether it's other executives, of what is the intention behind this? And I think that has helped me position myself differently than other executives because it's bigger than like understanding the overall cause. And that's something that I lean highly into.
Yep. Is it possible in a business where women are, in fact, woefully outnumbered, in a business where they are terribly marginalized, is it possible through Moms in Music or any other entity for that matter, but your organization, is it possible to create a safe space for women?
Absolutely. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are building this thing brick by brick, and so we actually have a event this weekend. We're doing a small invite-only brunch, a dinner here in Atlanta that's sponsored by Quality Control Music, which is one of the biggest independent labels right now. I'm sure you're familiar. And they've been a client of mine for like the last 6 years. But one, the way that we do that is to call on these companies' bluff, right? Because a lot of times these companies like to say, oh, we support this and we support this. But it's like, we're going to call you on your bluff and let's see who really puts up or shuts up, right? So let's start there. But then secondly, we build these communities by doing what we're doing, creating these spaces, having the conversations, bringing in professionals to talk on certain topics. Like we brought in a burnout recovery coach. We brought in a hormone health doctor to talk to our audience. And we have creating the space is important to know that you're not alone. And so our goal with Moms in Music is to build it brick by brick, woman by woman, where we are able to pull our collective powers together. Like the people in our community, we have some amazing women from executives to artists. And so we're all coming together and we're creating our own table.
You told me a bit earlier.
And that is what has power.
No, I hear you. You told me a bit earlier about your journey, of course, as a woman executive. But you mentioned our friends Faith Evans and Deion Ferris. I had the honor in my career to spend time with both of them and plenty of other artists, obviously. But what are you, and I'm not talking just about Faith and Deion per se, but what have you learned, what are you hearing from artists themselves, those who are making the music and having to be on tour, about how they go about finding ways to balance being a caregiver at the same time advancing their career? Because you're right, men don't have these same conundrums these same hurdles they got to jump over, conundrums they have to navigate. So what are you hearing specifically from artists who are moms in the music industry?
The main thread that we have heard across the board from artists is, man, this is hard and I need help. I need other people that I can talk to that are going through similar experiences. I have felt alone in this. I have felt like I was the only one, right? And Faith shared that at our brunch. She was like, listen, when I had my kids, there were plenty of times where people told me that my career was over. And there were times that I believed them, right? And she said, if I would have had a community then of other women who were doing the same thing and were trying to climb in their careers, whether it's artists or executives, and we were able to share stories, that would have gotten me through the hard times. Because the consensus, nobody questions whether or not it's hard. It is hard. And so we're not saying that when you become a mom in music, all of a sudden your worries are gone. It's like, no, girl, you're still going to go through it, but you're not going to go through it alone. And that makes all the difference. And so the consensus of the artist is, I'm juggling so many things. I have to worry about tour rehearsals. I have to get the album delivered to my label. I have to make sure that I'm not gaining a whole lot of weight so that I can still look good and be the artist. All of these things are in the artist's head, while at the same time you're a caregiver. And you still have 1, 2, 3, however many kids that are looking at you, and all they see is an amazing mommy. They don't know all the other things that mom is taking on and has to show face for, right? And so the hardest thing has been, how do I juggle this? how do I mentally stay afloat as I am managing and navigating all of the hurdles, in addition to just the natural mental challenges that come with being an artist. All of the people that you're trying to appease, right? Whether it's the touring agents, the brand partners, the label. And to some, they're like, well, that's the business that you choose. It is, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't feel what you feel.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that your experience is any less valid, right? And so that is what makes the difference in terms of, and here's the thing, we've seen numerous examples of depression, anxiety, and on the worst end of the spectrum, artists who don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to make sure that we advocate for with Moms in Music is, let's take care of your mind. Like mentally, professionally, how are you? And then being able to create community.
Yeah,
So I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. I was just about to ask, to what extent, personal wellness is at the epicenter of all that you're wrestling with, trying to advance these moms in the music industry.
It's at the center.
Yeah.
It's the core. It's
Yeah.
the core value, because that's where it starts. It starts with you. And you making sure that you're creating whatever those boundaries are to express what you need, to be able to communicate when you need time off unapologetically, and to not feel like someone is going to kind of like put you in up against a corner where you voice it. Making sure that the mom is good at the core is literally my top priority, because from that, everything else bears fruit. I can't. A mother can't worry about giving you a great album if she is messed up, about whatever's happening in her relationship, or she's going through anxiety or depression, or she's addicted to popping pills, right? You're not going to get the best. So my goal is like, what's the vitality level? Like, what do you need to be able to operate at your best?
Yep.
And how can we support you?
I got 60 seconds left. You've been at this for not quite a couple of decades, but almost, as an executive and an entrepreneur. You told us the story earlier of being in many of these rooms, or were you the only person, the only woman, the only sister. I'm curious as to what you're seeing in these C-suites about these days about when it comes to Black women. Are you starting to see an uptick in Black women at the executive level in the music business?
We are. So we're starting to see an uptick. So here's what I'll say. We're starting to see an uptick on paper. And what I mean by that
on paper
is, and I'm sure you can understand where I'm going with this.
I see it.
We're starting because, over the last few years we've seen this uptick of, diversity and inclusion and all of these buzzwords. And so companies have jumped on that. Right. But what I also am seeing, because of just the backdoor conversations that I have with a lot of people, is, hey, yeah, I'm getting the title, but they're not really empowering me to be a decision maker.
I get it. Nope. I figured you were.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. Very, very clearly. I figured that's where you were headed. So that does not surprise me. Hopefully, it will transfer from paper to reality. But I take your point, and I hear you loud and clear. Her name is Brittany King Brock. She's the founder of Moms in Music, doing their part to help these sisters in the music business find greater balance between being a caregiver and advancing their careers as they have every right to do as executives or as artists in this fast-paced music business. Brittany King Brock, congrats on the organization, and thanks for the conversation. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tavis, for having me. I appreciate it.
My great delight. Good to have you on. October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We'll talk about it when we come forward.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
my daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine, they sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. It's now day 21 of the United Auto Workers strike. It comes as 400 more Ford workers in Michigan are being told not to report to work today. Last week, UAW President Shawn Fain said Ford and GM were refusing to make any meaningful progress at the table. Meanwhile, a study from the Anderson Economic Group found the U.S. economy has lost almost $4 billion since the start of the strike. LSU safety Greg Brooks Jr. has been diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. Brooks, who is African American, underwent surgery last month to remove a tumor from his brain. He has medulloblastoma. The disease affects between 350 to 500 people in the United States every year and is most commonly found in children. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Seeing that busy drive in Pasadena, slow and go in Pico Rivera, Whittier, and Southgate. It's a wreck trying to clear from a center traffic lane. That's 710 north at Imperial Highway. Center lane blocked with a crash. As you approach that 105, things are busy. Pico Rivera, Whittier have a stalled vehicle on the 605 south at Washington Boulevard, Slauson. That's in the center lane as well, and causes it a very busy drive from Beverly Boulevard. Stop and go through Pasadena. Earlier wreck cleared on the 210 west at Sierra Madre, but looks like we're busy here from the 605. Sherman Oaks, the 405 south approaching Burbank Boulevard. Center lane blocked with a crash. Coming away from the Van Nuys area as far back as Nordoff. Things are no-go.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the Accident Guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The Accident Guys have helped over 5,000 injured clients with an impressive winning record.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers will play Arizona in the National League Divisional Playoffs. Arizona swept Milwaukee yesterday in the best-of-3 wildcard round. The Dodgers and Arizona kick off their best-of-5 series on Saturday at Dodger Stadium. The Rams saw something at Wednesday's practice they hadn't seen in a while. Wide receiver Cooper Kupp caught some passes from quarterback Matthew Stafford. It was Kupp's first full practice since he went down with a hamstring injury in August. Barring any complications, Kupp could be in the lineup for Sunday's home game against Philadelphia. LeBron James said Anthony Davis is now the face of the Lakers franchise. Lakers fans would rather see Davis stay healthy. Davis has missed 114 games over the past 3 seasons. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity, and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online. Qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Indeed, here we come. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as you well know. Natasha Majay is the Director of Community Education and Outreach for Susan G. Komen, and I'm pleased to have her on this program for the first of a number of conversations we will no doubt have this month, as I do every October, trying to focus a spotlight, some attention on the accomplishments and hurdles, and there are both accomplishments and hurdles that black women still face when dealing with breast cancer. Why is it so important to me? Because now 10 years ago, I lost my producer, Cheryl Flowers, at the age of 42 to triple-negative breast cancer. And for the last decade, this has been certainly a passion of mine. Others have been at this a lot longer than me, and I pay respect to them. But 10 years ago when I lost Cheryl, she was my, again, exec producer of my radio program. Lost her a decade ago now, believe it or not. And I've been as dedicated to this as I can be. If you're ever in Los Angeles and you come to our building right on Crenshaw Boulevard, on the front of the building or the back of the building, in both places you will see a plaque that has some information about Cheryl. So you can't drive down Crenshaw without seeing Cheryl's face on the front of our building, and some words about her and what she meant to me, to this program, to my radio work, and to all of those who work with us as we syndicate the Tavis Smiley radio program. And so I miss her dearly, even a decade later. And so every year around this time, and certainly around the time of her passing, her transition, we spend some time in reflection and talking about where we are, where we've come, what's left to be done. And I'm happy to report that great progress had been made, certainly with regard to triple-negative breast cancer. It was, when Cheryl contracted it 10 years ago, an absolute death sentence. If you had triple-negative a decade ago, you were definitely going to die, and there wasn't much question about that. There are always, of course, exceptions to every rule, but it was a death sentence for black women, and black women contract triple-negative breast cancer more than any other group of women. And so it was an absolute death sentence a decade ago. Pleased to report that all the research and the funding and all the things that go into finding cures and ways to push back on these cancers of all kinds, that's important work. And so it's not the death sentence a decade later that it was 10 years ago, but we ain't there yet. And until we get there, we're going to keep talking about it. With that said, I welcome Natasha Majay to this program. Natasha, thank you for your work at Susan G. Komen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Tavis. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my great delight to have you on. So talk to me. It's October. We know we're used to it now. Let me just start with this. Susan G. Komen has done a remarkable job, whether it's with the NFL or all across the board. I love people's hustle, and I love when I see it work. And it's quite something in this country to grab a hold to an idea, to push that idea forward in such a way that everybody knows about it. So October, we all know it's October. We know that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We see the pink everywhere. You see the athletes wearing pink shoes. I mean, it's just I just want to start with a shout out to Susan G. Komen, because y'all have put this thing on the map, Natasha.
I appreciate that. You know, it's interesting to think back to that, because I know it's only been 40 years that we've been around, but think back 40 years if you can, and women were experiencing breast cancer very privately and silently, and you couldn't talk about the word breast, much less breast cancer. And so you're right on that. You know, there's a lot of pink around, and we're so excited and pleased to use the month of October to really increase awareness and knowledge and figure out ways that everybody can take action. And I just really want to thank you for keeping this at the forefront of your program as well. And, my condolences on the loss of your good friend, Cheryl, to triple-negative breast cancer. You're absolutely right. We've made some strides, but we definitely have more to go.
Yep. So to that point, I'm going to pass the mic to you. And if I were to give you the mic and say to you, all right, give me your brief 3-4 minute speech about the state of black women and breast cancer, you'd grab the mic and you'd say what?
I'd first start off by saying my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer about 7 years ago. And if she were to walk into a medical clinic right now and walk alongside a white woman in a clinic on the other side of town, chances are we would expect that they would get the same level of care and have access to the same things. But we know that in our country where there's been so much racism and systemic racism, that's not necessarily the case. And we know that black women in the U.S. are about 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women. And so, it's something that we have to continue to combat and work through. And what Susan G. Komen is doing, we know that we can't stand by knowing that health inequities exist in the black community that result in that type of unacceptable breast cancer outcome. So what we've done instead is we've decided to deepen our health equity work and really take a stand with our program that we created called Stand for Her, a Health Equity Revolution. That program itself is Komen's commitment to collaborating with black communities, policymakers, researchers, and key stakeholders to create a world without inequities and to also create a world where black people have the same chances of surviving breast cancer as anybody else.
Yep. Let me ask point blank whether or not these inequities that you speak of now, Natasha, are perennial or intractable. Obviously not the same thing. Are they perennial? They just keep going and going and going and nothing seems to get done about them. Or are they intractable? Is this an issue that these disparities are so entrenched that nothing can be done about it? So the inequities clearly exist. Are they perennial or are they intractable?
That's a really good question. I can honestly say that if I felt that we couldn't do anything about this and this is just status quo, I probably wouldn't be in the job that I'm in. I think we can always do something. And we know the statistics. We know that they are dire, but now we have to act. And that's why I really appreciate the Stand for Her initiative, because it is really about action. We know that, this is the disparities and inequities that we see in the black community are not necessarily due to biology, even though some people say, oh, it's because they don't get mammograms, or, oh, it's because, they don't get this. Notwithstanding biology, we know that the systems that support people in their breast cancer care have failed black women and continue to fail them at every step of their breast cancer journey.
Yeah. Speaking of mammograms, when we come forward, I want to come right to that because obviously I am not a woman, but I read a lot to be on point every day, at least attempting to be on point every day for this program. And so I'm always reading stuff, and it seems to me every so often I look up and I see a new study, some new research about mammograms. And when and how often women should get those mammograms. So I want to just sort of hear it directly from Komen as to what they believe, what are they recommending when it comes to women, black and otherwise, when it comes to getting mammograms, because it seems we keep moving the line, and the research keeps showing something different. And I'm curious about that. It's the same thing. It happens also with men and prostate checks. The stuff just seems to shift here and there. We'll talk about that and a great deal more when we come forward, as October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our guest right now, Natasha Majay, Director of Community Education and Outreach for Susan G. Komen.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance.
Plus personal equipment,
meal programs,
a gym membership,
and so much more.
For more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
It's a plus.
For all of us.
Who do you trust to get at the truth?
Tavis Smiley.
That's who. The conversation continues right now.
So before I get to the word on mammograms, Natasha Majay, let me do this. We talked earlier about some of the hurdles that black women, of course, still face. We know that the inequities exist and that black women are not given nearly the kind of respect that others are given. There's a great conversation in this country that I think is brewing up, and there have been a number of documentaries about it. I've had a number of conversations about it, about the disparities in black maternal health. So the ways in which black women, trying to bring babies into the world, die in instances where they shouldn't die, and all kinds of issues regarding black maternal health. So these inequities are sort of, as you well know, are basically across the board when it comes to the way we do healthcare or don't do healthcare in this country. And yet, while that is real, the challenges and the inequities, I want to believe that after 40 years of doing this, that Coleman every year has some stuff they want to brag about, that there is something that's being done. There's some progress being made. There's some accomplishments that you want to celebrate. If I'm right about that, what are we celebrating in this month of October, this season of breast cancer awareness?
Sure. I think we are celebrating our advancements, truly. And you alluded to it earlier about all the technological advancements that have been made since that time, since 40 years ago. We knew that back to that day, Komen really was founded off of a promise to end breast cancer, when detection back then was really based on feeling for breast lumps. Mm-hmm. It's different now. And almost anyone who was diagnosed at that time underwent some type of mastectomy, which is the removal of breast, the full breast and breast tissue. Treatment options were really limited, and they were a one-size-fits-all kind of model. And really, thanks to the countless discoveries and investments that Komen has been able to be a part of. We played such a large role in transforming that breast cancer experience and the landscape, really helping to propel advances in technology, research, and increasing awareness and education, as well as breakthrough treatments that lead to more of a personalized therapy and care. You mentioned the advancements made in triple-negative breast cancer, where it used to be a death sentence. That's so incredibly true. We've had so many wonderful advancements, and Komen has been able to be a part of a lot of those advancements as time has gone on. So we're really proud of that.
So the awareness is working, as I mentioned earlier. Everybody who's a football fan, that means most of us, you can't avoid it in October. You see it everywhere. You see the players wearing the pink shoes and the all kinds of stuff. So this awareness campaign over these decades that Komen has engaged in is making a difference. And again, they're raising money and they're making progress in a variety of ways. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Natasha Majay of Susan G. Komen, we'll talk about the word on mammograms and make sure we get it straight. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Natasha Majay, who is with Susan G. Komen. She is the Director of Community Education and Outreach as we have the first of a number of conversations that we'll have throughout this month of October, which, as you well know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You see the pink everywhere. And we're delighted to be on with Natasha for these last 3 minutes that I have in today's program. So, Natasha, give me the word on mammograms. As I said earlier, it seems every so often you read something different about when and how often, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you tell me.
Sure. So for a woman of average risk, she should begin getting her mammogram screenings at age 40. And I want to emphasize average risk and what that means, because someone may be at a higher risk for breast cancer where they may need to go in before age 40. So one of the things that's really important is knowing your risk, understanding what your family health history tells you, because a lot of times in the Black community, we don't have those kinds of conversations where we talk about our risk, or we don't know who in our lineage has had breast cancer in the past. Those kinds of things can be missing puzzle pieces for your own health. And so really getting a good handle on that. And I'll also say, if you notice anything wrong with your breast, if you have a breast problem or you have a question about it, it doesn't matter what age you are, you should really go check in with your medical provider about that. Because we know that Black women are diagnosed with breast cancer at earlier years, which is earlier than 40, with more aggressive forms of breast cancer like triple negative breast cancer, and in later stages, meaning stages 3 and 4, where it may be more challenging to treat. So we have to be aware of what's going on with our bodies.
Yeah, I'm always. I used the word earlier, perennial, in this conversation, asking you a question about whether something was perennial, these inequities, or intractable. I find myself perennially wrestling with this issue, and that is all the things that Black folk find themselves subject to, in part because we just don't know our lineage well. And so it's true on so many fronts, including the issue of breast cancer, where there are women who are at risk and they don't even know the level of risk they are at because they don't know their family history.
That's so true. And I have a really good friend who tells me she uses her family reunions and Thanksgivings as times to go over family health history, because it's the best time to do it. Everyone's all together, and it's a good time to kind of get that out in the open. Now, hereditary cancers are not the only form of breast cancer. Sure. We know that breast cancer happens to people. You may be the first in your family, but having that history and the background is part of the puzzle and really important.
Natasha Majay is the Director of Community Education and Outreach for Susan G. Komen, now 40 years and running, doing the kind of work that needs to be done to raise the level of awareness about breast cancer. And so we all know that October is the month of pink. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is our first conversation. There'll be others as we move through this hour, this program, and move through this month, empowering Black women with the information they need to make sure that they are healthy. Natasha, I thank you for your work and witness. Good to have you on the program. We salute Susan G. Komen for all the work that you have done and continue to do. We celebrate this program that you told us about today, the HER program, and I thank you for the time to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good to have you on. That's our program for today. Thanks for tuning in today and every day this week. Tomorrow, the best of Tavis Smiley. Should be a great show tomorrow, featuring some of the best conversations that you might have missed from this week. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. It's now day 21 of the United Auto Workers strike. It comes